Well, for more insight into these islands, I spoke to Mark P. Jones, the Joseph D. Jamail Chair in Latin American Studies at Rice University. I asked him about the efforts being made to expand the area's economy.
Well, originally it was sheep production and wool exports primarily to Europe. Next, fisheries really took over and Berkeley licenses to fish for squid in the Falkland Islands waters. And now we're looking forward to the energy industry, and there's promise that the Falkland Islands have relatively substantial petroleum resources. They're not going to be another Saudi Arabia, but it would certainly be enough to provide some economic self-sufficiency for the islands when that comes online sometime during the next decade.
And we've certainly seen what happens when countries rely on one commodity and all of a sudden the market takes a turn. So where else is the Falklands looking in terms of diversifying its economy?
Well, the final area would be tourism. That was really constrained over the previous dozen years because the government in Argentina, run by Nestor Kirchner and then Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner, really made it difficult for people to travel to the Falkland Islands from the South American mainland. Now, though, the new government in Argentina, since 2015 of President Mauricio Macri, has a more favorable and positive attitude towards the Falkland Islands. He still claims it for Argentina as the Malvinas, but he's open to working with the Falkland Islands and sort of trying to develop strong, friendlier relations. And one part of those is allowing more flights from the Argentine mainland to the Falkland Islands, which is a relatively short trip and would really be a boost for tourism because right now it's very difficult to arrive in the Falkland Islands. The only way is really to travel once a week from Santiago, Chile via Punta Arenas, or to take the bi-weekly flight from London that stops at Ascension Island, but that's run by the British military and there isn't always space.
Now, outside of the issues that we're seeing with aviation and tourism, are there any sort of other economic challenges that we should be keeping an eye on?
Well, one problem that the Falkland Islands faces is it has a very small population, about 3,200, and it often has pretty serious labor shortages. And it's imported some workers from Chile as well as from Tristan da Cunha and St. Helena, two British dependencies, but that's a real limit to growth in the island because there's only so many people willing to work there, and as a result, industries that are labor intensive probably aren't a good bet for the islands.
Now, as we know, the Brexit deadline is fast approaching. What sort of implications could we be looking at for the Falklands?
Well, the Falkland Islands is very worried about the Brexit exit in the sense that many of their exports, particularly in terms of fisheries and wool, go to the European Union. And without that preferential access to the European Union, there's a fear that those exports will decline. So in the Falkland Islands, there's some consternation about the Brexit and the potential negative economic ramifications it could have for the islands. There's also a fear that with the exit of the United Kingdom from Brexit, that the European Union will be more favorable to Argentina's position on the Malvinas than to the United Kingdom's. And as a result, that in the diplomatic playing field, that things will be tilted a little more in Argentina's favor moving towards the future.
And in terms of diplomacy, what sort of implications are there for other territories like the Falklands if Brexit does go through, and we still don't know whether it's going to necessarily be a hard or a soft Brexit? What sort of broader implications does this discussion bring up?
I think the broader implications are this issue of diplomacy with Argentina. That is, Argentina still is very rigorous in its demands and very aggressive that the Falkland Islands are the Malvinas Islands and that they don't belong to the British, that they belong to the Argentines. And what Brexit does is weakens the Falkland Islands a little bit economically, but also provides a potential diplomatic support for Argentina's claim that moving towards the future could essentially provide more and more support for Argentina's demands that some type of, approximation of the Falkland Islands to Argentina be carried out, either some dual state strategy or that the Falkland Islands essentially become part of Argentina.
All right, certainly a lot at stake. Thank you so much for your insights. Mark P. Jones there, Fellow in Political Science and the Joseph D. Jamail Chair in Latin American Studies at Rice University. Thank you so much.